You know, shout out to Lamont Roach and his whole team, man. Hopefully we can run it back, for sure. Bring it back to New York. Let's do it again. Let's have a rematch back in New York. Let's do it again, baby.
I thought it was a good fight overall. Lamont, I always knew Lamont was, you know, he wasn't coming to lay down. I've been knowing Lamont since we was kids. So
despite GervontaDavis recently going on a social media rant about how badly he wants a rematch against Lamont Roach to silence his opponent, boxing professionals have advised him against it. Pursuing a rematch could seriously damage his record. For the first time in his career, Davis finished a fight without having his hand raised in victory. According to many in the boxing world, the draw was seen as a generous outcome. Boxing fans weren't the only ones shocked by the result. Former undisputed Haney said he wasn't, entirely surprised by how well Roach Jr. performed, noting that they had come up through the amateur ranks together. However, Davis taking a knee in the 9th round and it not being ruled a knockdown by referee Steve Willis was something Haney had never seen before.
I knew Lamont was serious. He was coming in there to fight, but he did a lot better than.
I thought it was a good fight overall, Haney said. I always knew Lamont wasn't coming to lay down. I've known him since we were kids. We came up in the amateurs together, so I knew he was serious and came to fight. But he did even better than I expected. And personally, I thought he won the fight. It was the first time I've ever seen something like that with my own eyes. He also warned that even in a potential rematch, Lamont Roach wouldn't be someone to take lightly. Haney is set to make his return in a welterweight bout against former unified junior welterweight champion Jose Ramirez. During the 9th round of the Roach Jr. versus...
I thought he won the fight personally. Yeah, the no knockdown, that was like unheard of.
Davis fight, Roach appeared to land a clean shot, and moments later, Davis took a knee before heading to his corner, where one of his cornermen wiped his face. Referee Steve Willis initially started a count, but then stopped and allowed the fight to continue. In a match where the rules had been strictly enforced, that moment could have easily been ruled a knockdown, which might have cost Davis his undefeated record.
I've ever seen it with my own 2 eyes, and yeah.
Yeah, you were you've made some comments. I wanted to see the backflip, and I'm surprised Tank didn't say nothing back to you about that.
Hey, I was just speaking my opinion on it.
While a draw technically preserved Davis's record, it was far from the ideal outcome the Baltimore native would have hoped for. Meanwhile, Canelo Alvarez, who recently signed a 4-fight deal with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, sat down for an interview with Peter Rosenberg of Hot 97. The conversation covered his upcoming bouts and the new partnership. But amid the buzz, Rosenberg took the opportunity to ask about the controversial March 1st fight in Brooklyn. Did Davis take a knee, and should he have been deducted a point? Rosenberg asked. The Mexican champion didn't hesitate.
GervontaDavis take a knee, and should he have been deducted a point? And in the end, lost that fight to Roach, in your opinion?
Yeah, in my opinion, it was a draw.
34-year-old Canelo also highlighted a crucial moment during the fight. The corner stepped in and put a towel on his face. That's a disqualification. For sure, he said. According to boxing rules, if a fighter's corner intervenes in the middle of a round without the referee's approval, it qualifies as grounds for disqualification. So when Calvin Ford jumped in to wipe Tank's face during the round, it could very well be seen as outside interference. With 62 career wins, Canelo
and plus the corner go up and put a towel in the face, that's a disqualification.
The World Boxing Association, WBA, President Gilberto Mendoza has told The Ring that he is prepared to pursue an immediate rematch between Davis and Roach. The WBA holds the authority to mandate the bout, and if Davis refuses, he could be stripped of his title. Additionally, Davis had a one-way rematch clause in his contract with Roach in the event that he didn't win. giving him the right to trigger an immediate rematch if he chooses to do so. Following the controversial outcome of the fight, both fighters have
I didn't know what round it was. Facts.
Tank Eric Blum from DailyMail.com.
However, some boxing professionals have cautioned Gervonta Tank Davis against taking a rematch. Nearly everyone in the boxing community agrees that when Tank deliberately took a knee, referee Steve Willis should have ruled it a knockdown, which would have made the round 10-8 in favor of Roach Jr. Instead, Willis did not call it a knockdown, and two of the judges actually scored the ninth round 10-9 in favor of Davis. The fight ended in a majority draw, with two scorecards reading 114-114 and one judge scoring it 115-113 for Davis. Had the knockdown been called correctly, the scoring would have shifted, and Roach Jr. would have secured a split decision victory, taking
You think about this decision and it being a draw, and you think about what happened in the ninth round. How frustrated are you that that wasn't counted as a knockdown?
Despite the controversy, Davis still holds an undefeated record, now including a draw. However, in a March 3rd post on X, formerly Twitter, Roach Jr. hinted that this result might be overturned. Word around the block, "Yalla fight going to be 31-0, not 31, Roach Jr. wrote in his post. Roach Jr. is expected to appeal the outcome of the fight, particularly regarding the controversial non-knockdown. This post suggests he's been advised that if he appeals, there's a possibility the result could be overturned, granting him the win and handing Davis his first loss. Then again, this could just be Roach Jr. stoking the flames of a hot topic. One thing...
Man, I'm not... Honestly, I thought I should have won without that being counted.
Tank went on to explain that the reason he briefly took a knee was due to grease in his eyes. However, this excuse may not hold up with boxing authorities, especially given the recent social media post from Roach, which hinted that the fight's result could be overturned. If this turns out to be true, it would be a huge turn of events, a monumental result for the sport of boxing. Lamont Roach has suggested that the outcome of his fight against Gervonta Tank Davis could be overturned. Roach, who many believe was robbed of a shock upset victory due to a refereeing error in the ninth round, took to social media to tease that Davis might be about to lose his undefeated record. If Roach's post on X, formerly Twitter, holds any weight, it could be the biggest story to emerge from boxing in 2025. Even if Roach is ultimately crowned the winner, he might still feel robbed of the moment of victory.
The ref, I ain't really, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he had to wipe sweat out his eye, he had to wipe sweat out his eye. But the rules do state, if you voluntarily take a knee, then that's an automatic game.
But International Boxing Hall of Fame inductee and former head of the New York Athletic Commission, Randy Gordon, has spoken out about the controversial Davis versus Roach fight, calling the result one of the worst shaftings in boxing history. Gordon took to social media to express his views. Tank went down on his own. It's still a knockdown. Then his corner jumped up on the ring apron. The fighter gets disqualified. Where's the problem? And the judges scored it a draw. Poor Lamont Roach got one of the worst shaftings in boxing history last night. I hope Roach appeals. He has a very good case. With Gordon's extensive experience in boxing, if he believes Roach has a strong case, we might soon see
They made the rules up as, you know, of course, Tank the house fighter. They made the rules up. Yeah, that was bullshit. It should have been called a knockdown. You can't take a break like that. The only person that can do...
The knee was crap. They made the rules up as they went, Bradley said. Tank's the house fighter, and it should have been called a knockdown. You can't just take a break like that. The only person who can stop the action is the referee, not the fighter. Tank basically told him, "Hey, I've got something in my eye. I need to go to the corner so they can wipe it out." You don't get timeouts like that in boxing. That should have been a knockdown, period. Bradley then revealed that after watching the action twice,
the referee can stop the action and say, "Hey, let me take you to the corner so they can wipe it out." You don't get timeouts like that in boxing, yo. So
I already went back and watched it. Tank Davis lost, Bradley said. I wasn't scoring it the first time around. People were asking me who I thought won the round, and I said it was close or whatever because I was on my own live stream. But when I went back and watched it, damn, Tank lost. Even without the knockdown, he lost. He just didn't do enough work. The old boxing axiom that there are no timeouts in this unforgiving game typically applies to the fighters themselves. GervontaDavis definitely broke boxing's rules early in the 9th round of his World Boxing Association lightweight title, bout on Saturday night when he turned away from Lamont Roach, took a knee, and stuck his head between the ropes, allowing co-trainer Calvin Ford to wipe an obstruction.
I wasn't relying on that. I was relying on what I was doing in there. I think I was taking control. I think I was landing more shots. I think I was landing more power shots.
Referee Steve Willis, as the boxing world knows by now, should have deducted a point from Davis. Had that happened, Davis would have lost a split decision to Roach. This situation should serve as an invaluable lesson for Davis, who has grown far too accustomed to doing whatever he wants, whenever he wants, despite the best efforts of professional adults who have worked tirelessly to guide him to behave like the superstar his previous victories made him. This is professional prize fighting at the elite level. It is Davis's responsibility to understand what's allowed, and more importantly, what conduct violates the rules of the sport. Overly focusing on anything other than the dangerous task at hand,
I thought I was doing my thing, so I'm not really that frustrated about that. But if that was kind of knockdown, I would win the majority decision.
Just as Paulie Malignaggi's cut man, Danny Milano, transformed into an amateur barber between rounds during Malignaggi's 12-round split decision victory over Lovemore Endau in May 2008, the Davis versus Roach fight ended in controversy after Roach's near stunner. Milano's expertise in the corner enabled Malignaggi to see clearly and edge out the South African contender on the scorecards in their 12-round fight for Malignaggi's International Boxing Federation junior welterweight title in Manchester, England. Similarly, Davis's corner assisted him as well. But the difference here is that Ford's legal intervention should have led to Davis's disqualification. According to New York State Athletic Commission,
Get the burn out of your eyes, or what was going on? And
I didn't want to get caught. I didn't want to get caught while my eyes was burning. And you know, like, you can get knocked out like that. So I'd rather take...
Baltimore GervontaDavis did what he did because, once again, he became too comfortable operating however he wanted, whenever he wanted, without anyone telling him no. After the fight, Davis did accept blame for not realizing that his actions were outside the rules and for losing track of the rounds. His reasoning for not picking up the pace after predictably giving away rounds early in their pay-per-view main event still leaves many wondering why he didn't adjust sooner. However, the first half of the 9th round will forever be etched in the minds of those perplexed by how it was allowed to unfold the way it did. Enter referee Steve Willis, a part-time stand-up comedian who, rather comically, seemed more concerned with the optics of Davis disrespecting the rules than penalizing him for it. That said,
you know, but I didn't really know that you can, like, get disqualified for all that. Or, like, when you start counting, I'm like, what the hell? But I don't know. It's cool.
Do you want that rematch next? And if so, how?
No one is suggesting anything nefarious took place between Davis and the officials, but perhaps a disqualification might have seemed unnecessary to a veteran referee who was officiating a highly competitive championship fight. However, it is the undeniable duty of the New York State Athletic Commission, which assigned referee Steve Willis to officiate this 12-round 135-Letlaby title fight to help correct egregious errors committed by its referees. The commission's executive, Director Matt Diagliolo, was seated ringside for this premier boxing champions card. Diagliolo should have been just as bothered by this preposterous occurrence as the rest of us. It is well within his rights, as head of the NYSAC, to...
I'm not sure, bro.
My earlier point, while there are definitely no timeouts in boxing for the fighters themselves, there are, without a doubt, timeouts available to public officials responsible for maintaining the integrity of an event. Dagliolo should have instructed the replay official to sit near a television monitor and ordered a review of Davis's behavior before the 10th round began. Had Dagliolo exercised that right, Davis would have obviously lost a point, resulting in a split decision in a fight where the unbeaten WBA lightweight champion was an overwhelming 16-1 favorite to win. Instead, Roach was left with another draw on his record and the frustration of wondering what could have been or what should have been for the rest of his life. That said, the blame for the official outcome doesn't lie squarely with Dagliolo, though.
Sure, but hopefully we could get it before... Nah, it probably won't be this year.
Roach's handlers should have questioned the commission as soon as the 9th round ended, if for no other reason than to inform Dagliolo that they were aware the replay mechanism was available and should have been used, as it could have impacted the outcome. And wow, did it ever. Had Dagliolo or ProBox's Gary Jonas, Roach's promotional representative, done their jobs, Roach would have far more leverage in future negotiations than this dubious draw affords him. A victory over Davis would be much more valuable in such tricky talks than a draw because, by not being punished for his blatant infractions, Davis walks away without the consequences he deserved. Davis and Roach drew on the cards of judges Glenn Feldman and Steve Weisfeld, both of whom scored the bout even at 114-114.